Dying is what we as here live for. And let's be honest, they were kind of useless. But Balder, he had value. He was my best tracker, my closer. Yeah, his mind was gone, sure. But he had his uses, and now he's gone because of you. You follow me? You have a debt.
You know what? I think this was a bad idea. I want to murder this guy.
Odin's behavior towards Thor is despicable. Throughout the game, Odin treats Thor worse than he treats anyone. Because Thor is so physically strong. Because Odin could never beat him in a fight. Odin tries to constantly beat Thor emotionally into submission instead. Odin has to be the one in charge. He's willing to humiliate and shame and bully his son to do it. The way he calls Thor's dead sons useless right to his face is disgusting. Kratos hated those sons too. Kratos killed those sons. And even he doesn't say anything this gross about them, not to Thor's face. The way Odin tries to manipulate Thor into drinking, into falling off the wagon, into giving up his sobriety, that's disgusting too. If someone is trying to overcome an addiction to alcohol, and you start waving a drink in their face and accusing them of being no fun anymore when they're not drinking, that is truly despicable behavior, especially considering this is Thor's father. This is someone who should want what's best for Thor, should want him to be healthy and sober. But Odin wants Thor drunk because he's easier to control when he's drunk. Odin doesn't care about Thor, he just cares about how he can best use him. Let's watch two scenes from much later in the game that further this point.
Look at this. We make a good team. Don't we? Don't we? Make a good damn team.
Just like you, Balder.
Both behaved, huh, Tim?
Thor was really great. I learned a lot from him.
You learned something from him. Really now? Okay. What did you teach the kid?
Nothing. What could I possibly teach him?
Exactly. What are you going on about?
I just don't get it. The mask. Bringing the giant to kill my sons. Why?
I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Stop letting your wife think for you. Tell me whatever's left of your brain.
This isn't about her.
No, it's about your limitations. Accept them and move on. Or go smash something, will you? Honestly, I like you better as a drunk. Okay, come here.
Odin relentlessly insults Thor's intelligence, belittles him, shames him, laughs at him, and tries to make him feel stupid in these scenes. It's truly disgusting behavior, and it works. Notice the way Thor says, "What could I possibly teach him?" I think Thor really believes that. His father has spent his whole life convincing him that he's stupid, so he really believes that he is stupid, that he has nothing to contribute, that he couldn't think for himself even if he tried. Also notice Odin's, "I liked you better when you were drunk." Odin is not only belittling his intelligence, but still trying to push him into drinking again, which also works. Thor does fall off the wagon after this. He does go back to drinking, and I'm sure Odin is delighted by it. He wants Thor drunk and dumb so he will never become a threat to him. Let's go back to that first scene though. When Odin's manipulations fail to work on Kratos, he sits Thor on him so Odin can have some time alone to manipulate Atreus instead. And finally we get to see Thor on the leash, the true Thor, and see what he really wants to say to Kratos.
That'll take all day.
Yeah, these are good though.
I've been waiting for this. You're not from here. We have a tradition called the Blood Payments. It means I can appeal for you for what you took from my family. You'll take it out.
I don't know what to do with this quest.
Show me this god killer I've heard so much about.
This battle is spectacular. These cinematics, the epic quality, it is just awesome. It's not a difficult boss fight, but in terms of cinema and drama, it is up there with some of the best in the series. Here we finally see the Thor we heard about in the previous games. The great
I think that has to do with one of the floors.
Merciless killer. He's very powerful. He actually kills Kratos at one point during this fight. It's not that extraordinary, since Kratos has died like 5 times over the course of this series, but it still goes to show just how strong Thor is. One of the few opponents Kratos has faced who have the power to defeat him, and it demonstrates how much control Thor has over this fight. He can kill Kratos and restart his heart at a whim. This is Thor at his most intent and most powerful in the game. Thor lives to fight. He lives for battle. He says he wants a blood payment from Kratos in exchange for the killing of his sons. You'd think that would mean blood
How did
for
it
blood.
work
In
again?
exchange for killing my sons, I kill you. But that's not what Thor wants. At least not yet. All throughout the fight, he keeps saying to Kratos, stop holding back. Show me your true self. Show me your power. Show me the God Killer who killed my sons. I think Thor wants one last really good battle before the prophesied end of Asgard. Some of the only interests he has in life are blood and battle. He doesn't have hobbies. He just wants to see a truly great warrior in action at his peak. The blood payment he wants is seeing that God Killer side of Kratos. And when he gets it, he's satisfied, at least for now. Let's fast forward way ahead in the story to when Atreus journeys to Asgard. Odin tasks Atreus with gathering fragments of this mask, and to help out he sends Thor with him. I find this whole section of the game to be fascinating. I know there are some people who find the Atreus sections of the game to be boring, but from a story standpoint, they are all super compelling. Sticking these two characters together, letting them speak to each other and bounce off each other, was a really smart decision by the writers. There's so much fertile ground for conflict and understanding between the two of them. There's this moment where Atreus asks Thor, what do you think? And Thor just says, do your job. That's Thor's whole life. That's what Odin has molded him into. Don't think, just shut up and do your job. Atreus confronts Thor over the slaying of the giants, and here we get a little glimpse of the old Thor, the merciless, compassionless killer, when Thor responds by saying, I reveled in their deaths. We see it again when Thor beats the Surtur trials, and he boasts of the rivers of blood and mountains of corpses he left behind. Thor also keeps repeating this phrase, don't try to play me, threatening Atreus if Atreus tries to trick him. I think this reveals an anxiety Thor has. He thinks he's unintelligent, and he doesn't want to be tricked and manipulated. He doesn't want his intelligence used against him, which is ironic since it's Odin, his father, who is really the one manipulating him. And Atreus even manages to get Thor to trust him at least a little bit. The next time Odin sends Atreus and Thor to find a mask fragment, we find Thor in this tavern, dead-ass drunk. He's fallen off the wagon, failed his sobriety, failed himself, and failed his family too. Let's watch a bit of it.
Right where I thought you'd be.
You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't have brought her here.
What are you doing?
Relaxing.
Did I say no rush? I meant we should get going, right? We don't want to keep the all father.
Quiet!
He's right. You should get going. Dad? Don't do this.
It's already done. Let it be known, the God of Thunder is good for 2 things. Killing giants and pissing me! Any man who disagrees will greet Mjolnir with his face.
I think what we want are rare items.
This isn't you.
Thor Thor comes off as totally pathetic
Easiest
here,
rare
as
items
he's
I
a
can
drunk
get is
loser.
through
To
the
be fair,
father's
there's really
choice.
no other kind of drunk. Drinking turns you into a loser. As someone who has definitely drunk a lot more than I should have in my life, I feel very comfortable in saying drinking turns us all into losers. This is what Thor was fighting against becoming this person. This is who he didn't want to be anymore, and it's who Odin wants him to be. In some ways, this scene serves as an indictment of Odin as a father. Odin cares so little for his son that this is who he wants his son to be, a drunk loser, miserable, pathetic. Notice when Thor says, "The god of thunder is good for two things, killing giants and pissing mead." That's what Odin wants. A Thor who only ever does those two things. Kills who he wants killed and gets pissed drunk all the time. This is who Odin wants his son to be. That's how bad of a father Odin is. Next, let's watch how this scene ends.
Get up. You are going to Niflheim with Loki. All Father's orders. You have to get up.
I know you're disappointed.
Disappointed? No. That was a glorious fight. You can't even say you're sorry this time, can you? So what's one more broken promise?
Ah, sure, I forgot to sell this.
Grandfather treated you like crap. You were
Oh, yeah, I
struggling.
haven't sold
I
these
get
yet.
it.
Fuck.
But you can't just...
Shit, this is already the finish line. If you go back,
We're
fuck.
here for you.
Dang it.
Mom and I are here for you. Even when you weren't here.
Of course, Pale Horse. We're the ones that got the
We
most.
love you. You know that. I just thought this was behind us.
I fucked up.
Let me try again.
Fucked up.
I'm not accepting this.
This is why Thor is trying to be a better man and father, trying to overcome his alcoholism. Because he has a family who genuinely cares about him, and he wants to be better for them, even if he's failing now. I know I keep talking about what a piece of crap Odin is, but goddamn, it is so gross that he is actively trying to push Thor into being a worse father to his daughter, despite how clearly desperate Thor is to be that better father for her. Thor is so ashamed and humiliated in this scene. Take it from me, the only thing worse than being a drunk asshole is realizing
I
that
should
you're
just
being
sell
a drunk
everything
asshole
here.
in front of people you
cares?
care about, people whose opinions you care about, people who think less of you now. Pathetic is a hard thing to be in front of your family. From here, Atreus and Thor set off to find another mask fragment, and as they do, they have a bit of a heart-to-heart. There's this moment where Thor says, "I don't even know what you're trying to do anymore, but you have no idea what I've been through." And Atreus is like, "Actually, yeah, I kind of do. We do have things in common. We are both half-giants. We both do have overbearing fathers from whose shadows we cannot escape. We are both struggling to forge our own path." Thor says, "What's the point of talking about things we can't change?" And Atreus responds, "Who says we can't change them?" And the answer is Odin. Odin has spent Thor's entire life convincing him that he can't ever change, that he should always just be a drunk loser. Kratos and Atreus are offering Thor another choice, another path. You could change. You are smart enough to make a different choice. You don't have to be Odin's whipped dog forever. Now let's watch how this one ends.
It's here.
So it seems quantity is all that means up.
Gotcha.
That was close. Thanks.
Wasn't about to lose that.
Okay, you did it. We are on the verge of great things.
So you know what? I'm gonna do something really, really smart.
Welcome.
I'm sorry. You are here. Why?
His father murdered Heimdall. Vercetti has proof. Take him.
No.
Leave him alone. I command him.
You said no more Aesir blood would be spilled. You said family comes first. You don't think that this is retribution for him being here? He's put your granddaughter in danger. He's made your son miserable.
Loki didn't kill Heimdall. His father did. Your daughter is old enough to make her own mistakes. And your husband started drinking again, all on his own. Dismissed! You two, a word.
Can't you see what's happening? He's not protecting us. Magni, Modi, our boys. We used to tell them stories by the fire. Do you remember? We would carve those wooden horses. We would play and laugh until the sun sank and they fell asleep in our laps. They were thrown at the Allfather's problems like brittle knives to a mountain face. And for what? What if Truth's next?
Doesn't really matter. I'll go for a monk, whatever.
Turn my father against me, my daughter.
I have no idea what's happening.
You know, I finally thought of something I can teach you.
Hey! Get it down! You better be right. Wait! Sindri. Ugh. You sure know how to plan an exit.
First, notice how Odin completely ignores Thor at the start of this scene. Atreus was only able to get the mask with Thor's help, but Odin doesn't even acknowledge Thor's presence, and instead gives Atreus all the thanks. It's like Odin doesn't care about Thor at all. It's unfortunate that Sif gets so little screen time. The little we see of her, she seems like an interesting character, but I think she needs a bit more development. Sif is identifying the right problems here, but coming to the wrong conclusions. Odin is the one making Thor miserable, the one who pushed him to drink again, the one putting Thor's life in danger. She's right that Odin isn't protecting them, that he sent Magni and Modi to their deaths, that Thor needs to stand up to Odin. But Thor going after Atreus doesn't solve any of those problems. The person Thor needs to fight is Odin, but I don't think Sif has quite realized that at this point in the story. And I don't think she's realized yet what kind of person Atreus is. So she and Thor both make a mistake here. We don't see Thor again until the final battle. Thor and Kratos fight, and throughout the fight, Thor is fully giving himself over to his old self, to that old merciless and compassionless warrior. He says, no more talking, no more games, I'm gonna kill you all. Of course, like every other god who's ever confronted Kratos, he loses. But that's when things get interesting.
What the fuck are you waiting for? Your daughter. My son calls her friend. If you try to hurt her, I would not. Don't you know what I've done? Yes! But what will you do now? We don't change. I'll destroy us. No more. No more. For the sake of our children, we must be better.
you talking? Who told you to do that? You don't talk. You don't think. I think. You kill. It's a simple fucking concept.
Sif was right about you. I just didn't want to see it.
What is this? Are you broken? I am your father. Take the hammer and kill who I tell you to kill.
No.
I didn't want this. I did not want this. This was all their fault. They've done this to us, to our family. Looks like I gotta do everything around here.
Here, Kratos puts into words his entire emotional arc from the previous game. For the sake of our children, we must be better. This is the entire plot of God of War 4. This is what Kratos struggled with for that entire game. He had a monstrous and violent past, and through struggle, through growth, through parenthood, through compassion, he learned to be better for the sake of his son, learned to make a new choice. Kratos is offering this growth to Thor, offering him the same lesson he spent a lifetime learning, the same new choice he himself has discovered. If Kratos can be better, then so can Thor. And we know that Thor does want to be better. We know he wants to be a better father to Thrud. We know he tried to stop drinking. We know he is ashamed of his mistakes. And for all those reasons, he accepts Kratos' offer. He finally makes a new choice. He finally stands up to Odin. But Odin can't accept that. Notice Odin's words here. You don't talk, you don't think, I think. You kill. Odin is putting into words his entire relationship with his son. I think, you kill. You just shut up and do what I say. You don't think about the moral or ethical consequences of what I tell you to do. You don't think about the consequences for your family of what I tell you to do. You aren't even human. You're barely more than a dog, a rabid animal for me to sick on my enemies. And then that line, are you broken? Which I must say, the voice actor delivers perfectly. Odin sounds so genuinely perplexed here. This is the way you talk about like a calculator that isn't giving you the right answers anymore. What's wrong with this thing? Is it broken? This is not the way you talk about a person, and it's definitely not the way you talk about your own son. And then Thor says, no. This moment is the fulfillment of all of Thor's growth over the course of the game. In some ways, Kratos had it easier than Thor does. All Kratos had to do was make a new choice for himself. Thor has to do that, and he has to stand up to his father on top of it. Because Odin cannot stand not being in control, because he would rather his son be dead than outside his control, he immediately, and without hesitation, murders his own son. I've seen some people say they are disappointed by this death, because we don't get to see Thor really live his new choice in the way we've gotten to see Kratos do. But remember that Thor is a father. His choice will live on in his daughter. In the end, he chose to be better. In the end, he chose to make his own fate. In the end, he chose to stand up to tyranny. And his daughter is going to remember those choices. Those choices will affect how she chooses to live. And I think that makes Thor's final choice here worth it. Even if he doesn't live to see it, his choice here will affect the story going forward, both for his daughter and for everyone. And his narrative presence in this story could continue to be felt, even when he is no longer actually present.
I can't go past this because of... Okay. I'm not interested in chasing that guy yet. Ah, fuck, these are chops. This thing lies. I'm gonna keep going. This was my best haul yet. So we didn't have to lose them. Alright, I can still sell them in the end. That's lovely. Damn. Alright, thanks for helping again. I could have named her. Oh, it's not too late. Renaming still costs a shit ton of money, but at this point it doesn't really matter anymore. She finds stuff. Why did they think of naming her after Nachi? The farmer isn't the best look for her, but I don't really know what else she'd look at like. Not a lot of fitting faces for her anyway. Oh, a Zodiac is fitting enough, I suppose. Well, this is the closest to her hair color we can get. Nice. So I made 3 farmers in the end. Honestly, I could have main classed her into something else. But, well, she came too late into the party. Who cares?
The first time I played Ragnarok, I was very dismissive of Heimdall. From his first
At least you're self-aware. Oh, I just realized... Fuck, it's too late. This team's getting the XP. Whatever, there's plenty more quests for me to accept, and Eureka getting some levels isn't all that bad. Since I decided to make her my other dedicated grabber. Max out King Mouse. I will say this team is a bit overkill. Just Ebony and Eureka will do. I actually almost reached my goal of 100,000. Hot damn. Alright, there's still plenty of quests. For starters, let's go beat up that boss. It seems the hardest part would be chasing after it. I'm gonna bring Veil. The Veil team. The one that doesn't have Teosra, who I love very much. And this time, I'll make sure. It's just, I don't feel like reloading and doing all that shit again. It's so easy for me to do so, but I just really don't feel like it. I could split it between Alma and Veil, because I want Alma to get the insta-kill move.
His appearance, he seemed to me like nothing but a pompous, arrogant butthole. An extremely irritating antagonizer who talked down to everyone and didn't seem to care about anything but acting uppity and annoying. To be frank, a pretty simplistic character. A villain without any redeeming qualities who existed solely to aggravate and antagonize our heroes. Until he was inevitably defeated in battle, a comeuppance I very much looked forward to. But first impressions aren't always accurate. He reminded me a lot of Hermes from God of War 3. In that game, Hermes was this extremely annoying bully who popped up once or twice to insult Kratos and not much else. He was a hateable and irritating antagonist, the kind of conceited and self-centered villain that you love to see get dragged off their high horse by the protagonist. Hermes wasn't exactly a very interesting character, but he was an effective enough minor villain. Sometimes the bad guys are just meant to be bad, and that's it. Sometimes all a writer needs to do is to get you to want to see a villain lose, and Hermes definitely accomplishes that, and Heimdall accomplishes the same thing. There's no other character in Ragnarok I wanted to see fail more than Heimdall. He is just so cruel and arrogant and annoying. Also, Heimdall has the misfortune of sharing the stage with Odin and Thor, who I think are both really compelling characters, and Heimdall is pretty thoroughly outstaged by them both. Heimdall also has the misfortune of following up Baldur, who served a somewhat similar role in God of War 4, but did it with 1,000 times more bombast and theatrics, like Baldur was freaking crazy. Again, by comparison, at first glance, Heimdall is a bit of a wet blanket. On a second playthrough, though, when I paid a little more attention to him, I realized that Heimdall is more complex than he at first seems, and I do think there are some potentially redeeming qualities to his character. But before I get started on Heimdall, I think we should watch just a little bit of Odin's first scene seen in the game. In this clip, Odin reveals
So I
he
didn't mean
perceives
to.
his son.
Dang it,
Since
I'm an
Heimdall
idiot.
is in fact a son of Odin, though you'd never know it from their interactions. This tells us a lot about his relationship with his father long before he ever appears on screen.
That's new.
Now, what you did to his boys. Self-defense. Dying is what we Aesir live for. Let's be honest, they were kind of useless. But Baldur, he had value. He was my best tracker, my closer. Yeah, his mind was gone, sure. But he had his uses and now he's gone because of you. Follow me. You have a debt.
In discussing the deaths of Magni and Modi, his grandsons, Odin completely dismisses them. He calls them useless, which is especially brutal since their father, Thor, is literally sitting right there. Like, what a jerk. Moving on, when discussing Baldur, his own now-dead son, all Odin talks about is how useful Baldur was to him. He doesn't show any affection or grief for his dead son at all. He speaks of his progeny and extended family purely in terms of how he can use them. He talks about his sons the way someone might talk about different tools on their utility belt. Like, this one's a flathead and this one's a Phillips head. He's saying to Kratos, hey, you broke my Phillips head screwdriver, so now you owe me one, dude. Compare this to Freya's reaction to Baldur's death. She basically didn't even have any relationship with her son, but because she still loved him, because she's not an emotionless sociopath, his death plunges her into emotional turmoil. We can see this lack of affection play out in Odin's interactions with Thor, too. Odin has decided that Thor is his warrior. Thor is the one he sends to kill what he wants killed. He actively suppresses any other ambitions Thor might have, purposely tries to keep him drunk and stupid, because he doesn't need another thinker, he just needs someone to wield the hammer. Before we ever even see Heimdall, we know exactly what his relationship with his father is. Heimdall is just one more tool for Odin to use. He has lived a life without affection or care, because tools don't need to be loved in order to be useful. We've seen what this kind of upbringing can lead to. Look how crazy Baldur is, or look how broken Thor is, or heck, look at Kratos. Something interesting to note, Kratos' upbringing is actually pretty similar to Odin's sons. Like them, Kratos' life only had one purpose. He was raised to be a warrior. He was not shown love or affection because he was raised to fulfill a single purpose, which did not require love. And just like Odin's sons, Kratos grew up to be pretty messed up. He killed a ton of people. It was only his relationship with Faye and with his son that allowed him the redemption arc he has undergone. Similarly, it seems like Thor's relationship to Sif and Thrud probably had the same effect on the big guy. Baldur and Heimdall's lack of any apparent romantic partner, having no one who cares about them other than Odin, probably at least partly explains why those two are incapable of following a similar path of redemption even when it is open for them. When the only important relationship in your life is with an affectionless manipulator like Odin, you're gonna have a hard time breaking out of whatever cramped role he has crafted for you. Anyway, so far I've spent a lot of time talking about Heimdall's family, but now it's time to bring out the golden, boastful, arrogant asshole himself so we can figure out what makes him tick. To start, let's watch the entire scene where he first appears. It's pretty long, but I think it's worth seeing if you want to understand who Heimdall is.
Hello. Hi. So, what part of the enormous ball made you think, oh, visitors must be welcome? I was sent for actually by Odin. The Allfather sent for you. Ah, great. Then why are you up there? And not in here? Why don't we ask them together? Are you finished? Now, what could Odin, All-Father, King of the Aesir, possibly want with the likes of you? That's between me and Odin. you could pull me up, or...
No, I don't think I will. I think maybe I'll drop you.
No.
Yes, I'm going to drop you. Goodbye.
And come back to Allfather's gonna be when he finds out you killed his guest. Loki of the Jotnar.
The Jotnar. Enemy of my people.
I am not your enemy.
Fuck.
I will be the judge of that. This way, Loki of the Jotnar.
Hey, is that Gjallarhorn? Are you Heimdall?
Obviously.
Gosh, he is such a smarmy little piece of crap. The writers did a fantastic job of making Heimdall completely unlikable. So the first question you have to ask is, why is this confrontation happening at all? Odin did invite Atreus to Asgard, so just like Heimdall asks, why is Atreus outside the wall instead of inside? Odin easily could have teleported Atreus directly inside and avoided this whole unpleasant meeting. I think there are two reasons for this. First, it's a test. Odin has work for Atreus to do, but he wants to make sure Atreus is actually capable of doing it. If Atreus can't even scale this wall or get past Heimdall, then how is he ever going to find the pieces of that mass? Two, it's a manipulation. It's meant to make Atreus more agreeable to Odin's manipulations. If Atreus' first encounter in Asgard is with the cruel, vindictive, mocking Heimdall, then Odin is going to look that much better by comparison. Atreus will be relieved by how much better his meeting with Odin goes, and so be more pliable to suggestion. Odin probably didn't even need to instruct Heimdall to act this way. I bet that knowing what kind of person Heimdall is, he knew Heimdall was going to antagonize and mock Atreus no matter what. All of this is further evidence that Heimdall is just a tool for Odin to use in his manipulations. Manipulations that Heimdall himself may not even be privy to. And he's a really, really good tool.
Alright, so
behavior here to
I need magic attacks against this guy, but I have no magic attacks. Fucking bullshit.
Drunk. In comparison, Heimdall is remarkably well adjusted. Just compare Heimdall's appearance to that of Thor and Balder. Look at how much more put together he is, how much more well manicured, how fancy. Because of his mind-reading ability, Heimdall might be Odin's best tool, which is why he entrusts him with the Gjallarhorn, a horn which is prophesied to blow at the start of Ragnarok. Furthermore, Heimdall is ridiculously powerful. Another thing the developers nailed is making Heimdall feel like a really serious threat, like an almost insurmountable obstacle. There's this bit where he and Atreus fight, and Atreus cannot land a single blow on Heimdall. The guy seems completely untouchable. He is a more than formidable opponent. And I don't know about anyone else, but outside of the optional bosses, I found Heimdall's boss fight to be the toughest one in the game. Much harder than either Thor or Odin, who I found to be comparatively easier. And more than all that, Heimdall is said to be a true believer in Odin. Thor seems to be only a begrudging lackey of Odin, while Balder cares more about pursuing his own personal vendetta than carrying out Odin's orders. If Odin had sent Heimdall to Kratos' home at the start of the previous game, instead of Balder, imagine how different that story could have played out. Balder cared more about starting a fight than finding out what Odin wanted to know. Heimdall, on the other hand, would have been much more likely to just get the information and get out of there. All of this is what makes Heimdall Odin's most powerful tool, perhaps his perfect tool. Except not, because Heimdall has his own flaws, and these flaws ultimately lead to the destruction of Asgard. Heimdall is short-sighted and arrogant, and this short-sightedness and arrogance ultimately destroys everything he cares about. To understand these flaws, let's watch just a little more of that first interaction between him and Atreus.
Oh, done drinking it in already. Cornerstone of
I need
civilization.
to retreat.
Not really your cup of tea.
Oh, no. It's amazing.
Just ask your questions already.
How'd you know I had questions?
It is my job. Next question.
What is your job?
I protect the realm I love from trouble.
You think I'm trouble? You just met me.
And I can already see you are eager to prove yourself. Way too eager. Probably due to an overshadowing father figure you can never live up to.
Good guess.
I would also guess that you are disrespectful, entitled, impulsive.
You don't know me at all. I help people.
Oh, you are here to help people. No. You are here to help yourself. To manipulate and lie to whoever you have to get what you want. I know you're young. Your voice probably dropped while you were climbing the wall, but what a twisted little soul you have. You are chaos in a spiffy archer suit. I watch your mouth move and I see cities burning. Cool, Topper. Who loves me the most? Who loves me the most?
Wow, that's almost as impressive as Baldur taming a dragon.
Baldur had the luxury of not caring how badly he got burned. I outthink them. Dominate them fair and square.
What is Heimdall's job? He is the guardian and protector of Asgard. What is Atreus? Well, among many other things, I don't
Just
think
in
anyone
case
can deny that Atreus is
something
definitely
stupid, that
a threat
boss
to
is
Asgard.
capable of
This game
that
does end with the
bullshittery as
destruction
well.
of Asgard, and Atreus plays a huge part
I'm
in
bringing
its
Chaos
destruction. With that in mind, remembering how all this ends, shouldn't Heimdall have done everything he could to keep Atreus out? Shouldn't Heimdall have killed Atreus right then and there? The answer to that question is probably no, but I'll get back to that in a second. This is what I think is potentially Heimdall's redeeming quality, and also what ironically leads to both his and Asgard's destruction. I believe Heimdall takes his role as guardian of Asgard seriously, and I think he really does care about Asgard. There's this moment where he's like, Asgard is the cornerstone of civilization, and you can hear some pride in his voice. You never hear Odin talk about Asgard in that tone. Heimdall seems to actually really like the place and want to defend it. If you view all of his actions through that lens, that everything he's doing is in service of defending Asgard, then perhaps his actions are justifiable. Heimdall can read minds, so he knows that Atreus is here to trick Odin, that Atreus wants to bring about Ragnarok, perhaps even lead Ragnarok, that he wants to destroy Asgard. For all these reasons, Heimdall could be justified in killing Atreus, if it is for the purpose of defending his home. The Norns straight up say that Heimdall is planning to kill Atreus, and since the Norns are usually right about these sorts of things, Heimdall probably would have killed Atreus if Kratos hadn't killed him first. Even if that murder might have been justified, it still would have been the wrong thing to do. What happens when Kratos learns that Heimdall is planning to kill his son? He kills Heimdall, takes Gjallarhorn, and then Kratos uses Gjallarhorn to open a path to Asgard, which leads to Ragnarok, which leads to the destruction of Asgard. If Heimdall hadn't planned to kill Atreus, Kratos wouldn't have killed him, so Kratos wouldn't have ever possessed Gjallarhorn in the first place, so Ragnarok can't happen. In a convoluted way, it's all Heimdall's fault. He wanted to kill Atreus to defend his home, but instead that exact decision leads to the destruction of his home. This is what is ironic or even tragic about his character. It's also one of Heimdall's greatest flaws, because while he is very perceptive, he isn't capable of thinking through the big picture. Let's hear Odin say it himself.
See, that's Heimdall. He reads minds for me.
Your boy is false, all father.
This young man, who is my guest, is covered in mud. Here to explain. He means to betray you. Is that true, Loki? You a little trickster? I'm just messing around. Of course he means to betray me. Heimdall. Why else would he come? And you, clean yourself up. Heimdall, will you just relax? Were you intending on killing me first thing? See? What, that's not good enough for you? Get out of here. He's a lot, I know. Very perceptive, but sometimes he just forgets to think. You know? For
First, notice how Odin introduces Heimdall. He reads minds for me. Could you imagine if your father introduced you to a stranger by saying something like, "This is Billy, he mows the yard for me"? Like, come on, what an asshole. But we've already talked about that aspect of their relationship. Instead, notice how Odin describes him. Very perceptive, but sometimes he just forgets to think. That's exactly what leads to Asgard's destruction. Heimdall can perceive that Atreus is a threat to his home, but he doesn't think past the immediate impulse of, oh, Atreus is a threat, therefore I should destroy him. Heimdall's powers of perception have ironically made him kind of stupid and lacking in curiosity. Because he's so perceptive, because he can see so much at a single glance. Heimdall never looks further than that single glance, because he's arrogant and doesn't believe he needs to. If he would, as Odin says, just think it through, he would have to think, well, what are the consequences if I do kill Atreus? What would happen next? Any fan of the God of War series knows the answer to that question. Heimdall would be a dead man.
Oh, I got it.
Because if you kill someone Kratos cares about, he kills you. Just go ask the Greek pantheon of gods. Oh wait, you can't, because they're all freaking dead. Heimdall is incredibly perceptive, and also an idiot who does not think through the consequences of his actions. But that flaw alone probably would not have led to the destruction of Asgard. Instead, it's his arrogance combined with his short-sightedness that seals both his fate and that of his home. Let's watch when Heimdall takes a trip with Atreus and Thrud to Helheim.
I forgot to mention, Heimdall will be joining me. What a privilege for all of us.
Oh, hold up. You don't want to walk into the blistering cold of Helheim without this. That's pretty loud. Should keep you nice and toasty. You're welcome.
Now, as much as I would love to babysit, I have something else to do for the Allfather. If you run into any trouble, just scream so I know where to find your bodies.
So Odin told them that Heimdall would be joining them. Then literally as soon as they get there, Heimdall leaves. That's weird, right? Why would Odin say that Heimdall is joining them if he's actually not? If he's actually going to go off and do something completely different without them? I'm not 1,000% certain about this, but I'm pretty sure Heimdall is just ignoring Odin's orders and going off to do his own thing. He says it's for the Allfather, but is it something the Allfather actually ordered him to do, or just something he thinks would be good for the Allfather? Since Heimdall isn't with them, Atreus and Thrud end up freeing Garm, the interdimensional portal-ripping hound of hell, which becomes a huge problem. If Heimdall had stayed with them, he could have prevented something like this from happening, which is, I assume, why Odin sent Heimdall with them in the first place. But because Heimdall is arrogant and thinks he knows better, he goes off to do who knows what. He could be Odin's perfect tool if he would just think, just follow the plan, not second-guess someone who is clearly smarter than him. Someone who can see the big picture, which he cannot. Now, let's fast forward to Heimdall's death.
We're going back in circles. How do I catch this guy?
Position. What idiots! Oh, it isn't Queen Mistletoe herself. Hilarious, by the way. Been a while.
Heimdall.
And you must be the little half-breed's father. Lucky day! You have a lot to answer for, sunshine. You too, traitor. Traitor of Odin's lapdog.
Murder is mine.
I can help.
I know. But you are needed elsewhere.
He's right, you know. Sissels wasn't looking so hot last I saw him.
I know you didn't want this, but we know how this ends. See you soon.
Well, we both know that's not true. But don't worry, Frigg. I'll be coming for you and your brother as soon as I am finished here.
I've already mentioned it earlier in the video, but this boss fight is masterful. It's this grueling multi-phase battle where every phase feels both unique and also significantly more difficult than the phase that preceded it. Heimdall is extremely tough, very powerful. The battle feels like a total payoff to all the building up of Heimdall's character and powers the story did earlier. With all that said, I gotta criticize the writing a little bit here. Heimdall's whole deal is that he can read minds. That makes him a terrifying opponent, because he can see every move you make before you make it, and he's fast enough and strong enough to dodge or counter everything you do. We saw that earlier with the fight between him and Atreus. To counter this foresight, the dwarves crafted the Draupnir Spear, a spear which is capable of replicating itself a limitless number of times, and those copies can explode for some reason. When they crafted the Draupnir Spear, I was like, oh, they're gonna overwhelm his senses through the sheer number and speed of the projectiles Kratos is throwing at him. That's how they're gonna counter his mind reading. Like, maybe he can predict where 10 thrown spears are gonna go, but can't he predict where 100 of them are gonna land at once? But that's not how it goes down. Instead, they just sort of surprise him by blowing up one of the spears in his hand.
Alright, straight to you have to go on. What the?
I can feel your frustration. It's immensely satisfying.
There's no reason why this should work. There's no reason why Heimdall should be surprised by this. If he can read Kratos' mind to know when and where he's going to throw the spear, why wouldn't he be able to read Kratos' mind to know that Kratos is going to blow up the spear? I think this is an example of where the writers made a villain a little too powerful, and then they had to break the rules they had established so the protagonist could stand any chance of defeating him. But whatever, no story is perfect, and it's still a fantastic
God damn it.
battle. Anyway, I have a question.
Okay, I have no
Why
idea
is
how to do this.
Heimdall here at all? Shouldn't he be at home protecting Asgard, keeping Gjallarhorn safe? Is Odin really dumb enough to risk both his most powerful tool and risk Gjallarhorn falling into enemy hands by sending Heimdall directly into Kratos' path? Does Odin really want a confrontation between Heimdall and Kratos to occur at all? I don't think so. Obviously, I can't know for certain, but I suspect this is another case of the arrogant Heimdall deciding he knows best, deciding for himself that he can serve Odin better by doing whatever he wants. Fast forward to the end of the fight. Kratos defeats Heimdall, and because Kratos is a changed man, he offers Heimdall mercy, and watch what happens.
That's all this is! Wait. What is going on in that empty bed? Oh, no. You are going to spare me out of pity! Let it go, you may love. Is this about the little nut? Well, now I am definitely going to gut him. This is your final warning.
No, I don't get it.
But you got it.
I give up.
You think you get to just walk away?
I got another quest done. It's good enough for me.
How this works. You do not get to decide my fate! You are dead, sunshine.
This is a fascinating scene to me. Heimdall begs for Kratos to stop, and Kratos does stop. For a second, it seems like Heimdall is done. He's given up. He doesn't have any fight left in him. Just look at him. Look how defeated and resigned he looks. Then, all of a sudden, he sees something in Kratos' mind. Pity, a concern for his son, and then Heimdall cannot accept defeat anymore? Is it just that someone is pitying him, or is it that Heimdall sees a father who actually gives a crap about his son, and that infuriates him because that is something he knows he will never have? Heimdall is given so many chances to save himself here, but he is just so arrogant. He cannot accept his fate being decided by anyone but himself. He cannot accept that he has been beaten by a stronger foe. Just like how even with Odin, he can't accept that someone might be smarter than him. He is psychologically incapable of being wrong, of being anything other than the best. He's like freaking Ricky Bobby. If Heimdall ain't first, he is last. His arrogance destroys him, and because Kratos gets a hold of Gjallarhorn, his arrogance destroys Asgard too. Heimdall's story isn't quite done yet. Let's see how Odin, his father, reacts to his death.
Heimdall's
Right
dead.
here.
Happen to know something about that? Anything?
Well, everyone hated him.
Sure. But have you seen anything? Something no one?
I mean, you know, he did sock through pretty hard while we were out. Maybe someone found out? He did? I don't know.
Are you suggesting my son had something to do with this?
I don't know. Honestly.
Well, I had to ask. Never believed you had anything to do with this.
Isn't this pathetic? That's it. That's all Heimdall gets. Odin appears to be only as upset as his son's death has affected his plans. And even then, he's not that upset about it. Heimdall was his son, his strongest support, his most powerful agent. And he is gone forever, and Odin cannot even pretend to care. All the eulogy Heimdall ever gets is, well, everybody hated him. Like, as much of a piece of crap as Heimdall was, he deserves more than this from his family. He was loyal to his family and home. However misguided and short-sighted his actions were, they were in service to his father. But Heimdall served the wrong man. His short-sightedness and arrogance destroyed him. And after he was gone, no one cared. Unlike Balder, there is no Freya here to mourn him. Unlike Thor, there is no Thrud or Sif to mourn him. Heimdall passes into the afterlife alone and unmourned, forgotten. Just one more dead god lying at Kratos' feet.
Wait, the crow did get the... Excuse me? Okay. Wait, seriously? Oh yeah, the new weapon. Where did Alma go? I guess it's just petrification that can last outside a battle. Man, summons are weird. I guess the dog is an exception. Oh. Damn it, I can't. The materials for it are on the other floor dungeon. I'm done at the moment.